Hello and welcome to the channel Guitarist for Christ. On this channel I'll be teaching you how to play guitar in church. A lot of YouTubers that you find online will teach you how to play guitar in rock concerts, pop concerts, or sometimes country music, but I don't want to play in any of those genres. I would rather play hymns, good old hymns, and if you would as well, then I will teach you how to do that today. To start, you will want to learn the key of G. So the key of G is very simple. It's the easiest key on the guitar. To start that, so you understand how the guitar works, each silver thing is a fret. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Each of these are frets. Each of these are strings, and the way you count strings starting from the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the first chord in the key of G is G. And G is played with these three fingers, the first, second, and third finger. You start by putting your first finger on the second fret on the 5th string. Your second finger goes on the 6th string of the 3rd fret, and your third finger goes on the 3rd fret on the 1st string. So these two are on the same fret. It's not super difficult. And to make sure you're doing them all correctly, just play each string one at a time. A lot of people make the mistake of bending this finger down, which mutes this third string, so it can't make any sound. Make sure your fingers are bent correctly so that you can make all the sound. You can play that for a while, and once you understand that, then you want to learn the second chord, which is the chord D. The key of G is made up of G, D, and C. The chord D is played with the same three fingers, first, second, and third finger, but it's lower. So you play with your first finger on the 3rd string of the 2nd fret, your second finger on the 1st string on the 2nd fret, and your third finger on the 2nd string on the 3rd fret. You won't play the top 2 strings for this one, just play the 4 bottom strings. So that's G and D. Then after you have D, then you want to learn the third chord, which is the chord C. The chord C is played with the same 3 fingers, and you have your first finger on the 2nd string of the 1st fret, your second finger on the 4th string on the 2nd fret, and your third finger on the 5th string of the 3rd fret. You don't play the top string, you only play the 5 bottom strings, the 5 highest strings. And again, a lot of people will bend this finger, which mutes this string, so it doesn't make the proper noise. You want to make sure your fingers are bent properly. Once you have all 3 of them down by themselves, then you're going to want to practice all of them together, switching between them in any way. So as long as you start on G and end on G, you can play G, D, C, G, or you could play G, C, D, G. Or you can mix things up and go back and forth from C and D. So G, C, D. And it'll sound complete when you finish on a G. Then you can practice that switching between 2 chords, just G and C, maybe, or G and D. And then you continue practicing. Obviously you're not going to be able to switch as quickly as I switch. I can switch very quickly because I've been practicing for a long time, but as long as you play G, and then when you get to the D, it might take 3 seconds, it might take 20. For some beginners it's very confusing, and that's fine. One important tip for playing the guitar, you want to have your fingers as close to the fret. So you don't want to have it over the fret, you want to have it as close to the fret as you can get it though, because if it's back here you have to push down very hard. And if you push down very hard, then you'll get cuts in your fingers, and some people even bleed. And you don't want to do that, so you want to be as close to the fret as you can get it without going over the fret. You want to be behind the fret, but as close to it as you can. And that's difficult with certain chords, like the D, because both of these are in the same fret. Then this one is a little bit behind, because you can't really push it forward, because then this one has to also go forward and messes it up. So then you got to push down a little bit harder with this finger, but that's not a big deal. Okay, now you've learned the key of G. Continue practicing. and later you can learn other keys. Now you're on your way to playing guitar.